So I suspect other attorneys, and there's plenty of them out there, right, experience similar challenges and issues.
That's very, very true.
So what's your first step in solving these types of challenges and issues?
So we went through a process of doing a personal strategic plan, which allowed my attorney client to get clarity on what was most important in her life and where did she want to spend her time. And after we went through several months of coaching where she identified what were the key areas that she wanted to focus on in her life, she was able to, number one, take the backlog of work and reassign some of that work, number one, to her paralegals so that they were able to do a lot of the foundational work on these estates and drafting these wills.
So before we get on to the results, because we're going to talk about the results in just a minute,
Okay.
I mean, the personal strategic plan was a key component of how you helped her get. What else did you do? What are the other ways that you helped solve her challenges?
Well, we also did a full DISC assessment. That's one of the first things we do with our clients is to be able to sit down, have them perform a behavioral profile assessment so that they can identify their styles, how they relate, and also some communication activities that they can work on as well. So we actually got a lot of clarity into digging into what was her preferred style of working, how she liked to communicate, how she communicate with her staff, and then to be able to set some goals for her in her business so that she could start working on some areas that she could focus on.
So you got the personal strategic plan, you did the DISC assessment, and then do you do a little bit of a dive into the different components of her business or the client's business?
Well, we didn't get that much detail into her exact business, but what we were able to do is to really kind of focus on what was important to her and get some clarity around that. And one of the techniques I like to use after you get some of that clarity on what her goals are is, number one, offer them the ability to say, write out your goals every single day so you can focus on those areas of your life that are meaningful for you. And once you get those daily goals set up, then you can actually define what activities are the most important activities for you to do every single day. And once you do that, you can also then build a block schedule. And the block schedule says, if I want to be able to spend some time with my loved one and have a date night every single week with them, then I put that on the calendar. If I want to be able to have some time to do some spiritual thinking and some spiritual meditation, I put that on the calendar. So that it really becomes establishing the discipline of being able to focus on what you want to do. And a lot of people kind of think, well, is that limiting? Is that constricting in the fact that I'm putting that into my calendar and I'm saying I want to do this at every single time, every single day? It actually becomes more freedom enabling in the fact that it says, I know I'm going to get this done, so now I can put it into my calendar and I'm going to focus on it. And it's something that I'm going to accomplish, and I don't have to worry about, will I find the time to be able to do it?
Well, I've read that the number one reason why people don't get things done that they want to get done is because they don't allocate time to it.
Absolutely.
If you're going to buy something, you have to allocate some money to it. We're usually pretty good at that. Often we put together a budget. But rarely do we effectively allocate time off our calendar. And the number one reason that people don't get things done is because they say, well, I just didn't have time for that. But the reality is that they allocated their time differently, right? They had the same amount of time today as they had yesterday, but they decided to choose to do something else. And so when you put it on your calendar, and this makes total sense to me, when you put it on your calendar, you're saying, hey, this is important. I need to get this done. Right, as opposed to maybe some of the other things that I've been doing, right? It's a reallocation of your priorities and reallocation of your hours.
Absolutely right, John. And again, it's one of those things that it's kind of amazing, right? People don't really value their time as much as they should. And in actuality, I mean, again, the things you should value the most are really the things you get for free, which is your time, right? Your time is what you allocate. It's your spirit, your love, everything else you want to give to people is what you should value most, as opposed to monetary assets or money or various things as well. Those things are all they're all fleeting in the moment.
They're transitory.
Transitory, exactly right. So if you focus on spending your time on those activities that you really want to get the highest value out of, then that is where you really get the freedom to be able to do the things you want to do in your life and accomplish the goals you want to accomplish.